we are past Christmas, which means we are at the end of the year. And that all means that I get to put out my top 10 worst favorite films of the year. Quick disclaimer before we get started here. Obviously, I haven't seen every single film that comes out this year. I wish I could have. That'd be pretty awesome. But of course, I haven't seen every single film that's come out this year. So there's a lot of stinkers that I couldn't put on my list. But rest assured, every single film on this list is really bad, and it's going to get the recognition that it deserves. Without further ado, let's get started. Number 10 on my list, I gave a 3 out of 10. It is Terminator Genisys. Terminator Genisys is an absolute terrible garbage film, and it made me very angry after seeing it. This film was just an absolute mess in all forms. It really feels like the film is really taking on going towards the Transformers route of just having really bad and just very bad and childish humor, just very bad acting, seemingly taking the focus away from the things we want to see, and the absolute worst crime that this film committed was taking out the continuity of the first two Terminators, the only two good Terminator films. This film was just so bad, it was infuriating to sit through, and I remember just being incredibly unhappy. I wasn't surprised because I didn't think the film looked very good, but oh man, this film had very little in terms of what I liked. This film was really bad. So that's why Terminator Genisys is number 10 on my list. Number 9 on my list, I gave a 2.5 out of 10 on. This one I actually have a video review of. You can check it out. This one is Aloha. Oh, Aloha, man, this movie was disappointing. It just very, very disappointing. In going into this film, I was super excited. I really wanted to see Cameron Crowe come out and make another great film. I thought the trailers looked interesting enough. I thought it looked really good, and I liked the cast looked like amazing, but the whole movie was so cut strangely, and the whole thing was just an absolute mess. The film almost felt like it was an excuse to get the cast and the crew out on just a vacation to Hawaii. It was just a weird backdrop. Nothing worked in this film. It was just very, very strange. It almost makes me wonder, like, what was Cameron Crowe thinking when he was writing it? Because the whole movie, like, nothing feels natural. Everything just feels contrived, and not just that, but the story is so disjointed into separate stories, and it's trying to connect it all through Brian Gilchrist, the character played by Bradley Cooper, and it just nothing works and nothing connects. I remember sitting in the theater I remember I was just shocked at how bad it was and just how poorly the film was made and how poorly the film was acted. The whole thing was just an absolute disaster. That's why Aloha, for me, I gave a 2.5, and it is number 9 on my list. Number 8 on my list, I also gave a 2.5 out of 10. That is Get Hard. Oh my god. Maybe I'm just not getting it, but I don't know why we keep putting Kevin Hart in movies. And it makes me feel very bad because his stand-up is just great. It is hilarious. I can watch his stand-up over and over and over again and laugh every single time because he has great charisma, but that does not mean he's a great actor, because he's a terrible actor. He is horrible in all these movies, and honestly, it's making me very upset to say this, but Will Ferrell is becoming he's becoming Adam Sandler to me. His movies just have not been funny in a long time. I actually haven't gotten a chance to see the movie that just came out, Daddy's Home. I have a feeling that movie I'd have the same feelings, but man, this movie is just so unfunny. It's painfully unfunny, and it's painfully predictable. The characters aren't likable. It reinforces stereotypes. The movie is I really did not like sitting through this movie. I don't think there's a single instance I laughed. I think I sat stone-faced through the entire film. And if you're a comedy and you don't make me even smile, then you're doing something wrong. That's why number 8 on my list is Get Hard with a 2.5 out of 10. Speaking of Adam Sandler, number 7 on my list, I gave a 2.5 to, and you guessed it, it is Pixels. Whoa, this movie was just hard to watch. And it's unfortunate too, because I knew even watching the trailers the movie was not going to be good, and I already lost pretty much all faith in Adam Sandler. But in watching the movie, I was hoping like it would just be fun. I was hoping I could sit down and have fun. It doesn't have to be funny, you know, it just has to be fun. And man, this movie lacked fun. Actually, it tried to be fun is the weird thing. Like, it didn't take itself too seriously, but it just was still difficult to sit through. The comedy was just pandering to children. It was just like, it was 5-year-old comedy, and it was just so bad. A lot of the lines, it almost looked like throughout the movie, Adam Sandler was improving a lot of the lines, which was just a horrible mistake, because almost all, he had this one joke, this isn't a spoiler or anything in case you plan on seeing the film, but there's this one joke in the film where he's in the White House, and he's kind of it's almost like he's kind of like roasting all these guys, and he says this one joke that I don't even understand how it was a joke. I don't really understand it, but he leaves and he says, oh, he's about to walk out the door, and he's like, oh, sandwich guy is here, and then everyone's like, oh, like excited, and he's like, gotcha, or made you look, or something like that. And it felt awkward. I was like, I can't imagine being the editor and just like sitting there like cutting together this film, like the director with the, you know, they're sitting together cutting this film, and then they're like, that's gonna hit, like that joke is gonna hit, because I don't understand it. The movie wasn't funny. There was also just a lot of weird like jokes that were just thrown in as well, and they were trying to make connections with characters. The characters were over the top. It reinforced it, like there's another, this may be a spoiler as well, but you know, you can skip a little bit forward if you think this is a spoiler. It's really not a spoiler, but so near the beginning of the film, Adam Sandler, he has this thing with this girl. They have this love interest that's absolutely forced love interest, as in all of Adam Sandler's films. But they create this weird, they're trying to reinforce this one thing that people shouldn't believe, is the fact that he was saying, if I was a good looking person, you'd want to kiss me. And he was calling her a snob basically because she wouldn't consent to kissing him. It was just strange. And I don't understand why they were reinforcing it. And it was very awkward and hard to sit through. And it's like, you're teaching children who are watching this to believe that, and that's not something we should be teaching kids. It was just that was a huge thing for me in the movie that really pissed me off, and there was a lot of things that really pissed me off in this movie. That's why this movie, I gave it 2.5, and it's number 7 on my list. Number 6 on my list is a film that I actually thought would be lower, but it's not lower, but it's still very low, and it's a movie that I cannot stand. And this is probably the biggest disappointment of the year for me, a movie that made me angry as I was walking out. Number 6, I gave it 2 out of 10. It is Fantastic Four. This movie is a garbage fire. This movie was just nothing worked for this movie at all, and it's super disappointing. You can really see when you're watching it that Fox is just, at the end of the day, they're just trying to throw everything they can together just to make it some kind of as coherent as possible, because the movie was so broken. They're just trying to put something out so they can keep the rights. I don't know what they're gonna do after this one. And it's funny too, because after seeing it, I know I have a lot of issues with this movie in terms of all spectrums. I still believe it's salvageable with the same cast. As bad as this movie is, I would just make no reference to this movie in the next movie. So I think it's salvageable, but honestly, I'm happy I'm not in their shoes right now trying to put this together, because I don't know what they're gonna do. This movie was a disaster in just all forms. That's why Fantastic Four, I gave a 2 out of 10, and is number 6 on my bottom 10 movies of the year. Speaking of Adam Sandler, I'm not done with him yet. Number 5 on my list, I gave a 2 out of 10. That is The Cobbler. You might argue and say this is technically a 2014 movie, but I would consider it a 2015 movie. I saw it in 2015. I'm pretty sure it had its wide release in 2015 for the most part. So I'll consider it 2015 for this list. And man, this movie, this movie was just bad. One of my first issues right off the bat with the movie is just Adam Sandler's weird deadpan delivery. He's a wooden board. It's strange. I know that's kind of what they're going for. I know that's what McCarthy is going for with the character, but he lacks any emotion, so you can't really connect with him at all. And at first, I will say, considering this movie's so low, there's actually a couple things I kind of liked about it in certain places. I know there's one scene in particular that I thought was really powerful. There was one really good, really good scene in my opinion. But then after that, first it's a strange feeling of watching this movie, because the first half is just very boring to watch, and there's like one kind of good scene towards like the middle of that somewhere. I don't really remember. I saw this movie a while ago, but it was like towards the middle of that. And then the second half just goes completely off the rails and becomes something totally different, and it's almost as if the movie just lost control at that point. And it was kind of hard to follow. It almost becomes like it's trying to become like a superhero origin story, and it's just a total mess. And all the characters are so bad, and the worst part of this movie is just the acting. This is some of the worst acting in a movie I've seen all year. But man, yeah, this movie was just a mess in all ways. Like I said, in pacing, and the fact that the first half was like really slow and boring, and then it becomes a totally different movie in the second half. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend sitting through this movie. That's why I gave The Cobbler a 2 out of 10 and is number 5 on my bottom 10 list. Number 4 on my list is a movie that I had no hope for going in, and it was actually worse than my expectations. I gave this movie a 1.5 out of 10. I'm talking about Hot Pursuit. Oh, God. It's hard to describe just how annoying. This is the most annoying film of the year. In fact, in terms of watching it, I was getting a headache as I was watching it. This movie was so annoying. Sofia Vergara, she's great in Modern Family. You know, she's good for that typecast character in that show, but she has no future outside. I forgot to mention in my Terminator thing about Jai Courtney, how much I hate him, and I don't think he has a future in acting. I feel the same way about Sofia Vergara. Just keep her in, keep Sofia Vergara in Modern Family until that show ends, and then just sleep on that money. Because honestly, she is so incredibly annoying. I'm not trying. I know this is gonna. I'm kind of walking a tight line because it sounds like I'm talking about her nationality. I'm not. It's not her nationality. It's her nasally voice. It's just very annoying to sit through. And her and Reese Witherspoon also, she is so annoying because she has this really over-the-top strange accent throughout the whole thing as well. And it colliding, and I guess it's supposed to be the comedy of it, it doesn't work at all. And as the film goes along, you can kind of predict where it's going. And this is another film, kind of like Get Hard, where I was sitting through it, and while I was stone-faced, just like with Get Hard, but in this one, I was not only stone-faced through the whole thing, I was annoyed. I was annoyed watching it. I kind of wanted to leave, but I stayed, and that's why Hot Pursuit, I have gave 1.5 out of 10, and is number 4 on my worst films of the year. Number 3 on my list, I gave a 1.5 out of 10. That is Serena. Another one with Bradley Cooper in it that became a massive disappointment. This has not been Bradley Cooper's year this year. Serena, just like The Cobbler, technically you could say it's 2014, and I think this film was actually filmed like years ago, the movie was, but I'm counting it in 2015 because it had its wider release in 2015, and that's when I watched it, you know, so I'm considering it 2015. Serena, this movie is just painfully slow, and it almost feels as if nothing is going on. It feels like I'm watching a Lifetime movie. That's what Serena feels like as you're watching it in terms of its quality and all. It's just such a bad experience. And it's unfortunate too because the only person that looks like they give a shit at all in making this movie is Bradley Cooper. He's the only one that really kind of feels like he's giving anything because his performance is a little more subtle, I guess, but he's still not good, but it almost looks like he's at least trying to take the source material seriously. Jennifer Lawrence is horrible in the movie, and I'd say that, like, I really like Jennifer Lawrence as an actress, but she's just really, and I know it's not horrible in a way that it's just over the top horrible, but it's just like, it's almost like they don't have an understanding of what they were trying to do with her character. So she's just, it's almost as if she went there just to help out. Like, it's almost like she was just going out there to do some favors or something, you know, just to go out there just to, you know, I owed this producer something, so I'm going to show up in her movie, or you know. So the movie was just, she was not very good. The whole movie was a mess. The story just was so slow and just, it almost felt as if nothing was happening. The story could have been, this could have been a short film, a 15 to 20 minute short film stretched over like 2 hours. This movie had no substance. It was just very bad and hard to sit through. That's why Serena, I gave a 1.5 out of 10, and it is number 3 on my worst favorite films of the year. Now, number 2 on my list, this one is actually my favorite out of this group, strangely enough, because I know I'm going to revisit this movie several times because of just how hilariously bad it is. This movie is hilariously bad. I don't give this score very often, but I gave this movie a 1 out of 10. I'm talking about The Boy Next Door. Oh my god. This movie is hilariously bad. It almost looks like it's a parody, like it's not like it's not supposed to take itself seriously, like as if it's like a comedy or something, like it's a bad scary movie or something, like the scary movies, or you know, Scary Movie 1, 2, 3, or Epic Movie or whatever. It almost looks like it's that, but it's serious. It's just so like let's start off with the acting just in general. The acting is horrendous. Honestly, I've never been a fan of J-Lo, to be honest, at all. I just never thought, I've never really liked her music, and I never thought she was good at acting. She's been in a couple things, but I've never really been a fan of her at all. But man, I don't know what she was thinking when she took this one. I mean, I guess this is the only kind of thing she could get. But oh my god, the movie tries to be like sexy and it's not sexy. It's trying to be suspenseful, it's not suspenseful. It's trying to be thrilling, it's not thrilling. It's not trying to be funny, and it's fucking hilarious. This movie, sitting through this is just, I found myself laughing harder at this movie than I have a lot of the comedies. This movie was so bad, but I would honestly recommend watching it. I mean, I don't really want you to support the studio to make them think that, go to Redbox, rent it for a night, get drunk with your friends, and just laugh your ass off at how bad this movie is. The Boy Next Door is horrible. By far, it would be the worst movie of the year if there wasn't another film on this list. So, The Boy Next Door, I gave it 1 out of 10, and is my second worst favorite film of the year. Finally, we're down to the last one, the worst movie of the year, in my opinion, the movie that made me, that I just hated the worst out of any other movie on this list, of all movies all year, and it is yet again Adam Sandler in his film with all of his buddies, The Ridiculous Six. This film I also gave a 1 out of 10 to, because it is just so bad. It is so bad. It's another thing, kind of like how I said with Hot Pursuit, where it was a moment where I'm watching it, I never laughed at a single thing. Nothing made me laugh or smile at all. But as I was watching it, what pissed me off about watching it was not just annoying, but it's also offensive. This movie is very offensive to a lot of different people, to different races, to different sexes. It's ignorant to this. And that movie, it just pissed me off as I was watching it more and more, and I found myself getting more and more annoyed with it. And honestly, I'm kind of sick of Adam Sandler doing the same thing. He's getting away with it. He's doing the same thing in all of his movies, doing the same persona in all of these Happy Madison films, like his production company's films. And he gets away with it. I don't know how does he get away with this? It makes me mad because he's getting paid to do this. A lot of money. And these films are so bad and lazy. They're lazily written. They're just so, like, he always brings his buddies back, and they're just horrible every single time. I was surprised we didn't get a Kevin James cameo in there somewhere. He must have been busy with Paul Blart when they were filming this or something. But man, oh man, this movie is just bad. Just really, really bad. And I gotta say, guys, this is not a movie that you guys should ever watch. This one, like I said, with Boy Next Door, I also gave that one a 1 out of 10, but I said watch it just to laugh at it. This movie I don't want anybody to support because it's offensive, and it's just a very bad film, and I'm tired of Adam Sandler and his buddies getting away with this. So that's why number 1, my worst favorite film of the year, the worst film of the year, is The Ridiculous Six, starring Adam Sandler. Ugh. Thank you guys for watching my video where I talk about my top 10 worst films of the year. I hope you guys like it. Give me your top 10 in the comments. I want to see what your worst favorite films of the year that you sat through. So let me know in the comments what your worst favorites are. I want to say I'm going to have a best top 10 films of the year also. I want to wait. I'm going to give it like like a week or two into January so I can get a chance to catch up on a lot of the good films. I know there's going to be a lot I'm still not going to have seen. Right now, and I'm specifically waiting right now for The Revenant and Hateful Eight. I also really want to see Carol. I want to make sure I really want to get those 3 in before I make the list. So I'm gonna try to get that. So bear with me, but I want to have it soonish. So I'll probably have it first or second week of January. So keep an eye out for that. Thank you guys very much for watching. This is Ryan Havens here, and I'm out.